There's something incredibly powerful about what people don't say, especially men. When a man misses you, he won't always text, "I miss you." He won't always admit he's thinking about you at 1 a.m. He may not even consciously understand what he's feeling. But his behavior, that tells the truth every single time. Men often send silent signals when they're missing a woman, subtle shifts in effort, attention, and emotion that reveal what pride or confusion won't let them say out loud. And if you don't recognize these signs, you might misread the situation, or worse, ignore someone who is slowly realizing your value. So let's break down the 4 silent signals men send when they secretly miss you without even knowing why. When a man misses you, it rarely begins with a dramatic confession. It begins quietly, subtly. He reaches out in a way that feels almost accidental, a random meme, a simple question. Hey stranger. On the surface, it looks casual, almost forgettable. But if you look closer, it's not random at all. People don't reach out repeatedly without a reason, especially men who are trying to protect their pride. If he's initiating contact after distance, something internally nudged him to do it. Maybe he saw something that reminded him of you. Maybe he drove past a place you both went to. Maybe he simply felt your absence more strongly that day. Instead of labeling that feeling as "I miss her," he translates it into action. He finds a safe excuse to step back into your world. And here's what's important: the excuse is rarely the point. The meme isn't the point. The question isn't the point. The point is connection. He wants to reopen the line, but without exposing himself emotionally. A direct "I miss you" feels vulnerable. A casual message feels controlled. So he chooses control. You'll notice it in the timing too. Often these messages come during quiet moments, late evenings, weekends, or after he's had time to think. Missing someone gets louder in silence. When distractions fade, feelings surface. That's when he acts. He may not even consciously admit to himself what's happening. He just knows he feels pulled toward you. So he tests the waters. He sends something light to see how you respond. If you're warm, he relaxes. If you're distant, he retreats. But the initial reach out, that's emotion moving him. Indifference doesn't reach out. Indifference doesn't look for reasons. When a man truly feels nothing, silence is easy. Effort feels unnecessary. So if he's creating small bridges back to you, it's because your absence isn't neutral to him. The key is to watch consistency. One random message could mean boredom, but repeated, thoughtful, low-pressure contact over time, that usually means he's feeling your absence more than he's ready to admit, even to himself. When a man misses you, he often starts engaging with your life from a distance before he ever gathers the courage to step closer. You'll see it in small ways. He watches your stories quickly. He likes photos he would have ignored before. He reacts to things that seem minor. It feels subtle, but the increase in attention is not accidental. Attention is currency. We spend it on what matters to us. If he's consistently paying attention to what you're doing, it means you're occupying mental space. And when a man is thinking about you more than usual, it's rarely random. Missing someone creates curiosity. He wants to know how you're doing. He wants to see if you're happy. He wants reassurance that he's still somehow connected to your world. Distance can amplify emotions. When you're no longer right there, easily accessible, your absence becomes noticeable. He may not wake up and consciously say, "I miss her." Instead, he feels a pull to check your profile, to see what you posted, to observe who you're spending time with. It's a quiet way of staying involved without risking rejection. There's also ego at play. Directly reaching out requires vulnerability. Watching from a distance feels safer. He can gather information without exposing himself. If you look happy and thriving, it might spark urgency. If you seem distant, it might make him hesitate. But either way, he's watching because he cares enough to monitor the situation. Sometimes women dismiss this behavior as meaningless social media activity, but patterns matter. If his engagement noticeably increases after space or separation, that's data. Especially if he's one of the first to view your content or consistently interacts when he previously didn't. That shift signals emotional movement. A man who feels indifferent doesn't feel compelled to keep up. He won't feel the need to know what you're doing or who you're with. He'll detach naturally. But a man who misses you feels the gap, and instead of closing it immediately with bold action, he hovers at the edge of your world. It's not about obsession, it's about attachment. When someone starts quietly orbiting your life again, it usually means they're not as over you as they thought they were. When a man misses you, it often shows up in the tone of his voice before it shows up in his words. There's a softness that wasn't there before. Conversations feel warmer, slower. more intentional. He lingers a little longer. He asks follow-up questions. He seems emotionally present in a way that feels different from casual interaction. One of the biggest signs is nostalgia. He brings up memories you shared, small moments that you may have even forgotten, an inside joke, a trip, a random night that meant something. When he says, remember, when, where, why, what he's really saying is, I've been thinking about us. Nostalgia is powerful because it reconnects people to feelings. And when a man misses you, what he truly misses isn't just your presence, it's how he felt when he was with you. Maybe he felt admired. Maybe he felt understood. Maybe life felt lighter around you. Those emotional imprints don't disappear quickly, so he revisits them indirectly. He may also become more open than usual, sharing things about his day in more detail, talking about stress, admitting small vulnerabilities. This emotional availability is rarely random. When a man feels disconnected, he stays surface level. But when he misses someone, depth starts to return. What's interesting is that he may not even connect his behavior to longing. He might think he's just talking, but emotionally, he's recreating closeness. He's testing whether the warmth between you still exists. If you respond positively, the energy grows. If you're cold, he may retreat again. Listen carefully to how he speaks. Is there affection hidden in humor? Is there sentiment hidden in casual stories? Does he seem to light up when recalling shared moments? These are emotional breadcrumbs. A man who has moved on emotionally doesn't revisit shared memories with tenderness. He doesn't soften his tone. He doesn't linger in conversations that stir up connection. Emotional warmth is effort, and effort is rarely invested where feelings are absent. Sometimes the words, I miss you, never get spoken. Instead, they show up wrapped in memories, gentle laughter, and a version of him that feels more open than before. When a man misses you, one of the clearest but most misunderstood signs is subtle jealousy. Not dramatic, not possessive, but curious, slightly unsettled. He starts asking questions that seem casual on the surface, but carry emotional weight underneath. So, are you seeing anyone? You must have a lot of options. Who were you out with? The tone might be light, even playful, but the intention isn't. Jealousy is often a delayed realization of value. Sometimes a man doesn't fully process what you meant to him until there's a possibility that someone else could step into that space. When you're no longer automatically his, your independence becomes real, and that reality can stir emotions he didn't expect. He may not consciously think, I'm jealous because I miss her. Instead, he just feels uncomfortable imagining you with someone else. That discomfort is information. It tells you that your presence still matters to him. If he truly felt nothing, the idea of you moving on wouldn't create any emotional reaction. It would be neutral. Watch how he responds when you mention other men, even indirectly. Does his energy shift? Does he ask more questions than necessary? Does he try to downplay other guys while subtly highlighting himself? These behaviors often reveal an internal tug of war between pride and attachment. Sometimes he'll make joking comments that carry a serious undertone. Guess I've been replaced. I should have known you wouldn't stay single long. Humor can be a shield. It allows him to express concern without fully exposing vulnerability. But behind the joke is a fear of losing access to you permanently. This kind of curiosity isn't about control. It's about awareness. Distance creates perspective. When he starts imagining a future where you're unavailable, it forces him to confront feelings he may have ignored before. The possibility of loss sharpens emotional clarity. The key difference is consistency. If he repeatedly circles back to your dating life, if he seems invested in whether you're single or not, that's not random small talk. That's emotional relevance. A man who is truly detached doesn't monitor competition. He doesn't feel threatened by alternatives. When subtle jealousy appears, it often means he's beginning to understand what your absence really costs him. When a man truly misses you, it doesn't always show up as words. It often shows up as change. Not loud promises, not dramatic declarations, but quiet upgrades. He starts presenting himself differently. He seems more focused, more intentional, more put together. And it's not random timing. Distance has a way of forcing reflection. When you're no longer right there, when the dynamic shifts or breaks, he has space to think. And in that space, questions surface. Did I take her for granted? Could I have handled that better? Was I really showing up the way I should have? Missing someone often triggers self-evaluation. You might notice he dresses better when he sees you. He carries himself with more confidence. He talks about new goals, new routines, new discipline. He mentions therapy. The gym, career moves, mindset shifts, it may seem subtle, but the pattern matters, especially if this growth appears after distance from you. Here's why this is powerful. Men are action-oriented. When they feel regret or longing, they often channel it into improvement rather than confession. Saying, "I messed up," feels vulnerable. Becoming better feels productive. So instead of apologizing directly, he demonstrates evolution. And sometimes he doesn't even consciously connect the dots. He just knows he doesn't want to feel that loss again. So he starts building a version of himself that he believes wouldn't lose you next time. Pay attention to whether the growth aligns with past issues in your dynamic. If he used to be inconsistent and now he's more reliable. If he avoided communication and now he's clearer. If he lacked ambition and now he's driven, that's not coincidence, that's awareness. But here's the key, real growth is consistent, not performative. If he's truly evolving, you'll see sustained change over time, not just temporary effort when you're watching. Growth that lasts is growth rooted in reflection, not manipulation. A man who doesn't miss you doesn't feel compelled to improve for you. He moves on unchanged. But a man who feels your absence deeply often wants to rise to the level he believes you deserve. And sometimes self-improvement is the loudest silent signal of all. One of the most confusing signs that a man misses you is inconsistency mixed with emotional intensity. He leans in, then pulls back. He sends a deep message, then disappears for a couple of days. He opens up, reconnects, creates momentum, and then suddenly goes quiet. And you're left wondering, if he cares, why is he acting like this? Here's the truth most people don't talk about. Missing someone and being ready for them are two different things. When a man misses you but hasn't resolved his internal conflict, you'll feel emotional waves. One moment, his feelings take over. He reaches out. He reminisces. He engages deeply. In that moment, emotion wins over ego, but later logic creeps in, fear creeps in, pride creeps in, and he retreats to regain control. This push and pull doesn't always mean he's playing games. Sometimes it means he's battling himself. He may question whether reconnecting is smart. He may worry about rejection. He may fear vulnerability, so he moves toward you when he feels the longing strongly and away from you when self-protection kicks in. That internal tug of war creates inconsistency. Now, this doesn't mean you excuse unstable behavior. It simply means you understand the psychology behind it. A man who feels nothing is steady in his absence. There are no waves, no emotional spikes, just flat distance. But when someone is unresolved, you feel surges of closeness followed by space. You might notice that when you pull back slightly, he moves closer. When you become warm again, he relaxes, sometimes too much. That's because tension activates awareness. When he senses he could lose you again, the emotion resurfaces strongly. The key is patterns over time. Occasional hesitation is human. Chronic instability is a red flag. But if you're seeing moments of genuine depth, effort, and pull mixed with retreat, it often signals unresolved feelings rather than indifference. Missing you creates emotional gravity, but fear can still resist gravity. And when those two forces collide inside him, you experience the push and pull. Understanding this keeps you grounded. You don't chase, you don't overanalyze every silence. You observe whether his actions gradually stabilize or continue in cycles. Because at the end of the day, feelings are powerful, but consistency is proof.